Good day to you. Mark Seth, HurricaneTrack here. Thursday now, the 3rd of July, 2025. As we approach the weekend, big holiday weekend, I want to tell you what to expect, at least from my point of view, what I know so far about this system off the southeast coast. There will be impacts. No, I don't expect it to become an intense system, maybe not even a named storm, but that's not the point. The point is impacts. That word impact, very important. So let's talk about that and a few other odds and ends here as we go through today's video. I'll try to keep it fairly short because I know we all have probably big travel plans. All right, so let's get started. First, National Hurricane Center homepage. Here's the area on the 2-day outlook, 20% over the next 48 hours, 60% in the longer term. And there is a possibility here, obviously 60% is 6 out of 10, that this could go on to become a subtropical system, meaning it's kind of spread out with its energy, or maybe a purely tropical system, which is more concentrated. None of that really matters at the end of the day for you, for me, for those of us that might have to deal with that word again, impacts. So what is it? Well, let's take a look at this. Maybe I should title this segment, What Other People Are Saying, because I do like to rely on a select group of people that seem to know what they're talking about out there on the Twitter. And Tyler Stanfield has been one of those people for many years. Great post here not too long ago. Global models are gradually coming into better agreement, he says, that another shorter-lived tropical cyclone could develop from the tail end of a stalling front. And that word right there, compound word or two words, sorry, stalling front off the southeast CONUS, that's the Southeast U.S. this weekend. But that stalling front is a big key because that's the focusing mechanism to get something to develop. And I'll show you that in another graphic in just a moment. Moderate southwest shear, that's a negative. Dry air, that's a negative for something to develop. And land interaction will all be impediments, there you go, he said it, to development and strengthening of a potential system. But even just from this particular satellite vantage point, you can see there's a lot of lightning out over the Gulf Stream. And I don't know how many sailors are out there, but you know, that's a problem. Lightning strikes, gusty winds from thunderstorms, all of those can be problems, even from the system that's going to maybe lead to development. So already there are impacts. Looking at the wider picture, a couple things I want to point out. There's Flossie dying away quickly now over the cooler waters of the eastern Pacific. It has just been an absolute conveyor belt of one named storm after the other. And I would be remiss, I gotta look that word up. What does that mean? People say it. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that yes, we have another system looking to develop in the coming days, 80% chance. It's just one after the other. Something is very magical about this part of the globe, and we're already going to be approaching the G-storm out there, but we'll deal with that as it comes. All right, so I want to show you this. This is the convergence where the air is coming together. And along this front up here, this is the stalled front that Tyler was talking about. This is where the air is coming together, and you need that to happen down at the surface. The air needs to come together, rise, and be able to do so efficiently and not get sheared apart. We, I think, know that. So this is a neat way to see that the convergence is, you know, pretty substantial, I guess you could say, down here. A focusing zone like the grapevine, I often say. Now we have to see if something develops or ripens off of that grapevine. And for that, we look at the vorticity. I want to see where might something be focusing. And as we can tell, the energy is spread out over, I don't know, a couple thousand miles at least. It's not concentrated like Flossie over there. And this feature, which is the next one in the East Pack, that again is what we are looking for. Do you see that over here? You do not. Neither do I. And until such time that we would see something remotely resembling these blobs, we don't have to worry about it too much in terms of something strengthening with a big wind field or storm surge problems. But again, I really want to work on if there's one thing that I leave behind when my career is all said and done, is how people look at the bigger picture and not just focus on the H word. Is it going to be a hurricane? That's not what's important at the end of the day for just everyday impacts. When we get a hurricane, and we know it's just a matter of time, we will focus on that. But otherwise, you have your rain, possibility of rip currents. I've already talked about thunderstorms potentially developing from this system, which are already there. We can already see that. So the energy might be spread out now. Yes, it might concentrate more later, but this is going to be a big rainmaker. A lot of people headed to the beach. There's going to be people going in the water, swimmers, surfers, kiteboarding, and just whatever, right? Enjoying the beach. Water temperatures, low 80s pretty much everywhere, and rip currents could be an issue, and we got to keep you safe. So that's why we go into the details of this, even though there's not a big threat. If it threatens you personally, your family's safety, I would consider that a big threat. So that's why we talk about it. All right? All right. I don't know why I had this homepage up. Maybe I was looking for some of my links. That's fine. One of them was this guy. Water temperature anomalies. Now, certainly warm enough over here, well above normal. By the way, we need to check on our friend Howard out here in Bermuda. Make sure he's doing all right. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Normally we've seen that over here, and in the past few years it's been down in here and down in here. This doesn't move around, but you know what I mean. The anomalies have been like all through here that have been that warm. Now they are displaced pretty far up to the north up here. What that means for the rest of the hurricane season, well, we'll have to wait and see about that. But that is an interesting overall look. Very warm in and around Bermuda as compared to average. But right up against the coastline where this system is going to try to fester, or is festering, there's no trying about it, it's already doing so. Yeah, slightly warmer than average, but certainly warm enough, 79, 80 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. That is not a problem for, in terms of heat content, plenty of that available. And we can see that on the actual sea surface temperature map here. This little piece of real estate here off of Southeast North Carolina. A little bit of a temperature gradient, if you want to call it that. This little green splotch right in here, 25 Celsius, so just under 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you're going to Wrightsville Beach or Carolina Beach, water temperature in the shore probably not quite at 80 degrees. Brr, I need it warmer than that. And then you have about 80 there, and then warmer from there on out into the Gulf Stream, low 80s. So yes, the temperature pattern would support something trying to develop. But as Tyler mentioned way back over here in this post, there are some impediments, and that should keep this from organizing into anything too substantial. But I think the downside to that, people pay attention to names. They pay attention to scales and big numbers, categories, whatever. A tropical disturbance, whatever. Look at the potential tropical cyclone 8 last year. It was a system that was festering off the Carolina coast, and it brought flooding, devastating rain to a very small area of southeast North Carolina that people are still recovering from. And certainly on the bigger scale of things, and this is the last I'll say of it, tried to keep this short today, I don't want to harp too much on it, but rain from Helene, I mean, come on, need I say more for western North Carolina and elsewhere in that region? We got to think of impacts over the sensationalism of a named storm or a hurricane or whatnot. All right? So again, water temperature is warm enough, and that could lead to a lot of heavy rain at the very least. So we got to be ready for that. Speaking of warm water temperatures, if you're headed to anywhere along our Gulf Coast beaches, upper 80s for you in the surf down there, no problem in terms of it not being warm enough for you. And luckily, I want to just go back to the satellite loop. The energy has left the Gulf, and that's good. I mean, most of it's gone. So we don't have to worry about this at all along the Gulf Coast areas. There was a few runs of the GFS there that was trying to create some mischief in here from it. That's not going to happen, so forget about it. Have a great weekend along our nation's Gulf Coast region. All right? All right. The models here, I want to show you the GFS. This is from the 6Z run today, and the area that we will focus on. Look, you can even see the vorticity and the energy here as depicted by the model. And real quick, let me just show you too the upper level winds. Yep, they are pretty strong through this area. A little bit of ridging over the top, just a little bit trying to develop, but by and large, this upper trough over here, just not going to let much happen with this feature. So let's go back down to that 5,000 foot level, and let's see what happens over the coming days. Broad turning in the lower levels, as you can see there, with a focus area right off the southeast coast. This is very typical. We see this more often than not. And again, it could impact all kinds of beach plans. Look at this. Georgia, the Carolinas, it could be a rainy weekend. Sorry. So you see, it doesn't look very organized, but this could be very disruptive from the Outer Banks, even the Tidewater of Virginia, down to, at least in the early parts of this, the northern Florida coast there. This could be problematic, especially if you've got those plans coming up this weekend. All right, and the Euro from the 6Z run as well. Same kind of deal. Pretty large area of energy down there, and that's what I want you to focus on. This is impactful weather, even if it's not a named storm. Pure and simple. All right? One more reminder before I let you go over the next few days. This is off my Twitter page. I pinned it. Hey, I know how to do that. The old tracking map. Sent out 4 today. Appreciate you guys ordering it anywhere from California to Washington State to Pennsylvania, New York. Fantastic that you guys have these on your walls, or you will soon. You can click this link on Twitter, or I'll post this direct link on our description of today's video, and you can use the old Venmo or the old PayPal, and I'll send you one, and I even sign it on the back with a big old thank you and mark I put on there, because I appreciate it that you have a piece of my art. This is what they look like right here when they're folded, and I put them in an envelope, and I send them your way if you want to order one. All right? Might have a busy season later on. We'll see. You might have plenty to track, and you can do so on these beautiful paper maps. So unless something festers out of this that we really need to address further, I'll take a couple of days off, enjoy some time with the family myself, and I hope you do the same. But look, if you're headed down to the southeast coast, do pay attention. Look at the local lifeguard information. If there are rip current statements out, go to weather.gov, put in the zip code of the area, weather.gov, put in the zip code of the area that you're visiting, and it'll be right there in red. Beach hazard statement, rip current statement. Read it, understand it, and keep everybody safe, because I need you back. Without you, there's no reason for there to be me. Well, in this regard anyway. Have a good 4th of July holiday. I'll see you on Monday.